This is our biggest permeable paver driveway we've ever done. 3,300 square feet, $150,000 job. Let's begin. This has to be very special because the fire department has to be able to come in here and turn their truck around. 80 millimeter thick pavers, 2 feet down. We have geotextile fabric, riprap, 1.5 or inch, and then we have very fine rock. It's gonna be huge. We have to go 2 feet down, boys. We're digging 2 feet down. I repeat, we're digging 2 feet down from here. That's crazy. There's gonna be tons and tons and tons of soil removed out of here. 150 bands coming in hot. I stole this job from another contractor for $150,000 and he had no idea. Here's what happened. We were hired on to do a landscaping project in the backyard, and the homeowner had hired a contractor in 2021. I bid on this job and I was outbid by another guy. So this other dude, he finished the entire backyard and the homeowner wasn't satisfied with the quality of work. So he ended up firing him before he finished. And I came in and we had to redo majority of it. So the bill was probably, I don't know, $50,000, $60,000 to fix all the little mistakes he did. On the very last day of the project, when we're closing out, the homeowner comes and he's writing me a check. We're shaking hands and I was about to leave. And I said, hey, quick question before I go. What do you plan on doing with this driveway? Because it's massive and it's all asphalt. And he's like, oh, actually, we're working with the fire department right now to get approval to pave this whole thing because I need to have very special pavers that are fire truck rated because he's at the end of the block and this whole thing needs to be holding a lot of weight. And I said, oh, when is that going to happen? And he said, maybe in a month or so, but I actually already hired a guy. And I was like, when? And he said 3-4 years back, I paid him $1,000 deposit. And I was like, no way. Is it possible for me to give you a price first? And then if you like my price, because we like working together. He said, yeah, I'd rather hire you, but I already gave the guy $1,000. I said, no problem. What I'll do is I'll credit you that $1,000 and make it even. And the homeowner was like, well, shit, yeah, let's do it. Give me a price and we'll see what happens. So I went back. He sent me the plans. I looked at the pavers. The pavers are very special. They were 100 millimeter. They were 4x8 made from calstone, dark pavers. And it had a detail that we need to go down 2 feet. We had to do 12 inches of 1.5 drain rock. We had to do 6 inches of 1 inch drain rock, 6 inches of 3/4, and then that very last little bit was 3/8. So that's the very fine drain rock to really get the pavers patted down. Once I sent him the proposal for about $150,000, he said, dude, the guy actually charged me $153,000 or something like that. And I said, well, perfect. You saved $3,000. And he said, all right, let's pull up. Let's get this thing dialed in. So he signed the contract. There was a few other things that we added and he canceled with the other guy and we started doing the project. So the good thing is I've loved doing driveways. This is one of my favorite things. If I can have Applewood Landscaping be a driveway only company, I would take that in a heartbeat because the levels are easy, the work is easy, heavy equipment is all you need, and then semi truck. So obviously right now you see we have a 279, we have a 304, and we have 4 guys rolling. The biggest thing is to remove the asphalt. That's gone. And then it's truck after truck after truck of soil. I believe there was about 12 semi trucks of soil. So we hauled away 240 tons of soil, which is crazy to even say, but we did. For the actual pavers, I spent $25,000 in just purchasing pavers alone. Remember, these were special. So this whole project went on for about 5 weeks was the entire project. 25 days in and out. Guys were working there 5 days a week. The best part about this is it was super simple. It's just required a very specialty company to do it. Like not everyone can do this. Remember, dudes that are doing this kind of project with rentals or handyman tools, it will be a disaster because if I didn't have that semi truck, if we're doing everything with dump trailers, this whole project would be a nightmare. You don't want to do this with a freaking dump trailer. Imagine how many times back and forth. Honestly, by the time you get all the dirt out, which will take probably 3 weeks, the dump trailer will break because soil is extremely heavy, and the only way you can do it is by semi trucks. Now, we're talking about getting the water out. The white pipe right there is the drainage, and this is going to collect all the water when it seeps through the pavers, because remember, this is a permeable driveway. It seeps through the pavers, it collects in, and it goes and it falls into the holes, and it routes into a little river or creek that they had that the city approved us, which is the best part. Now, the engineer, he called for that geotextile fabric right there, the one that you see. We had to lay it on top of the soil and underneath the rocks in case there's any kind of shifting, that the material won't move too much and the geotextile fabric will catch it. It's pretty much cheap insurance, not really a big deal. So now that the rocks are getting laid out, this is the most exciting part. This is the best thing. The job is moving, like everything is cracking. And now we're gonna have a short interruption from our sponsor, Jose, the project manager. He's gonna tell us all of the fancy things we're doing.
Hey guys, I'm Jose. I'm the project manager for Applewood Landscaping, and we're on this site. We're gonna start doing this driveway. So now we're here at this driveway. This is a 3,200 square feet driveway. This is one of the biggest paver driveways that we ever done. So I'm gonna show you around. Right behind me, you guys see 25 pallets of pavers, and we're still waiting for another delivery. So it's gonna be about 30 to 35 pallets of pavers just for this driveway. And as you guys can see, this is a permeable driveway. So you see something different between other driveways and other pavers. This is not concrete sand. This is number 8 stone. So this is what you use on this kind of pavers. The only reason you use this is that even the name is say permeable. So you want some material so you can let that material can let the liquid or any water go right through it. Another thing you guys got to think about it, if you ever start this kind of project, is where to start. As you guys can see, we got a slope from that entrance all the way to this driveway. The only reason I tell you guys to know where to start, look at how easy can this paver move. You guys want to take a look? So let's say we start from that point and we finish the day. My guys end up finish the day over there. When we come in tomorrow, the gap between the pavers eventually gonna separate. Why? Because of the slopes. Always make sure when you start any kind of project like this, to start from the lowest point of the slope. Back to the time lapse.
So now Jose gave us some very insightful information. The reason we start from the pavers at the back end is because of one magical thing called gravity. If you start from the beginning of the driveway, by the time you get to the end, all the pavers will have a lot of gaps and you'll have to keep hitting them with a hammer, so it's not ideal. You want to start at the lowest point and then go up. That is the best way to keep the pavers uniform and locked in. Now, what the boys are doing here is leveling everything out. The freaking pavers finally arrived. We had to wait 3 extra weeks for the pavers to arrive, and I thought the homeowner was gonna be super pissed, but he was actually very understanding. I told him, I'm like, dude, I really had confirmation from the actual material yard saying that they will be delivered this date, but they weren't. So I said, I apologize, but we're here. We're gonna fix it. We're gonna finish now. Now it's time to finally get rolling. Compaction is one of the most important things on this project. After you install the first layer of 6 inches, you have to compact, and then another 6 inches, compact. And then when you do the finer rock, the 1 inch or 3/4, compact. And finally, the very last layer, you have to really compact. Now, do you have to use anything crazy like a jumping jack? No, you can use a normal plate compactor because this angular rock compacts extremely well and very easy. That's the best part. And here is gonna be a flower bed. So we had to make like a little kind of retaining wall with a flower bed to hold the rock in, because if we didn't have that, all that rock would just fall in. Now, a concrete wall would have been ideal, and that's actually what we did afterwards. When the pavers were installed, we took that out and we just poured concrete in there and locked it in like that. Now the boys are out here zooming away like little ants, getting everything dialed in. That's the compactor I'm talking about. That thing right there is $15,000. It's a 1,000-pound plate compactor, and it compacts, I think, like 15,000 pounds per square inch, something crazy. I don't know. It literally rattles the earth when that thing is on, and vibrations are going through my body. It's nice. I like it. So as you see, the very final touch to the entire project, they're starting to lay the 3/4 or 1/8 inch rock. It's the super fine rock. I forget what it's called. It's tiny though. And that is the rock where all the pavers are level and being held up by those little tiny little things. So having a team that knows what they're doing is one of the most important things. And these guys, this crew, they knew exactly what to do. They knew the assignment. I mean, everyone wants to do driveways, and here they are. Once they start rolling, everything just starts clicking into place. Look at this. Boom. Getting that dialed in. And then afterwards, look how fast they go. This is my favorite part, because once the outsides are complete, the perimeter, the field, the middle of the paver area goes so fast, and the boys just knock out pallets day by day. Probably 5-6 pallets a day of pavers. They're just laying down. Like I said, this is a very dark paver rated for fire trucks, and once it's in, you're gonna see how amazing it looks. Now the homeowner, he actually wanted us to do something cool for him. He said, hey, you know, this whole thing is just a big square blob pretty much. Is there anything you can do, like maybe throw a pattern in the middle, maybe my initials, some kind of cool little thing? And I said, yeah, we can definitely do that, but we have to finish the entire driveway first, and then we can map out and plan whatever kind of pattern you want inside. And he said, cool, how much is that going to cost? And I said, you know what, because I'm a nice guy, we'll do it for free. I know nobody would believe me, but I did. And of course he accepted, very happy, and we were perfect on the amount of pavers we ordered. Complete, like I think it was like a half a pallet extra on pavers. And the risky thing about this was these pavers are special order, so if I was short, I'd be toast. But I measured 2-3 times on paper with the plans, and then I came to the actual job site and I measured 2-3 times again, and it was 3,260 square feet or something like that, and I ordered 3,500 square feet. The overages were perfect, installation was perfect, homeowner was perfect, and it doesn't hurt to ask, boys. One thing that I have learned in business, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. If you don't ask, you don't get. And if I didn't ask this homeowner about this driveway, he would have never hired me, because he had a plan with the other guy. The other guy was already set, everything was good, he was deposit paid, and guess what? I got the job because I'm Curious George. I'm Curious T. I pulled up and I said, hey, you do anything with this driveway? And he said, well, yeah, I am. And I said, perfect, let me do it. And that's exactly how I got this job. Profit on this project was about 17%, which is fantastic. And here you see them doing the little circle. They're taking out the pavers. We marked everything, sent pictures to the homeowner, and we did the circle. We cut it out, and then we're installing it. This gives a little pop, it gives a little zazz, and homeowner gets what he wants. This project was fantastic. Like I said, if I were to ever have a choice to be a company that only does driveways, I would jump on that in a heartbeat. I don't care about doing big paver patios or on swimming pools. All that is just too fancy. I want to be simple, basic, in and out driveway man. Okay, now this is the finished product. Very nice big driveway, especially for a big fire truck to come in, do a 3-point turn and exit. That was the whole point of this one. And come in here, keep in mind this entire thing is permeable, so it's like a big drain pit. Water can just be dumped here and it'll go into the earth eventually. And here we had to match, obviously driveways are very easy because you have to match the garage level. Obviously you can't be higher or lower, and you have to match the levels here and the level on that driveway over there. But other than that, it's very simple. The homeowner asked us to do a little circle right here to kind of spice up the design, which ended up being a very nice touch, I think. Maybe a different color paver, but to be honest, this color is fantastic for maintenance, because when sticks and leaves fall on here, yeah, it's a little bit stained, but it's not the end of the world. If these were white pavers, oh boy, forget it. These are all oak trees. Oak trees drop so much stuff, it would be a nightmare. And if you look on here, on this side, we have a little pedestrian gate where you can access. not installed yet. So this whole gate deal was not part of my bid. Obviously, only do things that you know how to do. And yeah, so all in all, one of my favorite projects. I love driveways, especially big ones. The bigger the driveway, the more money you can make. And on this one, I did really good. Here is the profit on the job, so you can see. And yeah, very happy. And we actually did part of the backyard on this customer, and I asked him when we were leaving, I said, hey, what are you gonna do with the front yard? And he's like, oh, I have a guy already hired and I paid him $1,000. I'm like, if I can match his price and credit you the 1,000, will you give me the driveway? And he's like, sure. He's like, I already like working with you. So he sent me his bid and I said, done, I'll do it. So we got it. Still got the bag. Always ask. Most of you guys don't have business because you don't ask. Be curious. You gotta be curious, George. Hey, what about this? What about this? What about this? The worst they can say is no. So don't be afraid. Go ask that girl out. Hey, can we slide through to dinner? Nah, not interested. Okay.